Our Miami Marlins are back in the World Series for a second straight year. The only team who stands in our way of winning a title is the Minnesota Twins. Today we've got games 1 and 2 of the 2028 World Series here at Target Field in Minnesota. The Marlins, of course, lost the World Series in 7 games last year to Tampa Bay, and this year they look to finally get over the hump and win that championship that we have been searching for since the start of this series. Last episode, we wrapped up the NLCS with a do-or-die Game 7, and ultimately we got the win, and we got the win pretty handedly, beating the New York Mets 7-1 in a game that we had control in really from the start up until the finish. Our offense has been really inconsistent throughout the postseason, but they stepped up, and obviously Edward Cabrera on the mound did his thing per usual. Outside of the game where we scored 17 runs, this was easily our best win of the postseason. And I think we're going into the World Series with some positive momentum, having won 2 games in a row against the Mets. But this is going to be a different beast as we start on the road against, obviously, a really good Twins team. We've got some guys playing really well at the right time. Luis Rengifo played really well in Game 7. Woody Landry's been really starting to heat up. Brian De La Cruz was a non-factor for most of the playoffs, and now all of a sudden he's the favorite to win the postseason MVP with how well he's performed over the last few games. Our offense has been inconsistent in October, but it does feel like they are hitting their stride at the right time, and hopefully that can continue against a Twins team who has a loaded pitching staff. As for the pitching, this has been the backbone of our team throughout this postseason run. Edward Cabrera, who pitched in Game 7, will get the start in Game 1 because Cabrera didn't have to throw as many innings in the game where we scored 17 runs. We're going to have him a little bit ahead of schedule, and he'll be good to go for this game against Minnesota, a team who, like us, won 96 games, like us, was the second seed in their conference. We beat them in our season series all the way back in April. I would think that would be the tiebreaker, but Minnesota has home field, which is kind of stupid considering we had the same record, same seeding. We had the head-to-head, but they still get home field anyway. As we look at their roster, the star of this team is Carlos Correa, who at 33 years old has had the best season of his career, winning the AL MVP, finishing with a WAR of nearly 9. His .7 WAR in the postseason is second, only trailing George Valera, who in the month of October has basically become Barry Bonds. The rest of his lineup is solid as well, and like us, they've built around a lot of the guys who were already here, like Byron Buxton and Alex Kirilloff, while adding other really solid players as well. The pitching staff is led by their ace, Brady Sr., one of the top candidates for the American League Cy Young this year. They've got a good group of young arms to round out the rotation, and their bullpen is loaded. They've got former Marlin prospect Evan Fitterer, former Marlin prospect Houston Webster, and the back end of the bullpen might be even better than ours, which says something, led by guys like Craig Corbett, Genesis Cabrera, and the Mountain, Felix Bautista. So let's get this show on the road. Game 1 of the 2028 World Series as the Miami Marlins look for their 3rd World Series championship, and the first of which in a quarter century. We lost the World Series in 7 games last year. We've worked all the way to make it back, and it has not been an easy road. Our team was really inconsistent throughout the year. We needed 5 games to beat the Cubs in the NLDS, including 2 elimination wins. We needed 7 games to beat the Mets in the NLCS, including 2 elimination wins. As we look at the numbers throughout the postseason, we've been better than Minnesota in just about every category, but the Twins, like us, have dealt with a lot of adversity. The Twins trailed 2-0 in the ALCS against Cleveland, losing the first 2 games at home before winning 4 in a row, 3 of which were obviously on the road. Both teams starting their aces, both teams going with their regular starters. As we take a look at Brady Sr., one of the top candidates for the American League Cy Young this year. He's been a good pitcher with the Royals and Twins throughout his career, but he really broke out this year, and here in October he's taken another leap. In 3 postseason starts, he's 2-0, ERA barely above 2.3, WHIP below 1.2. So let's get this show on the road. The 2028 World Series, as Kevin Alcantara starts things off by going down looking. Alcantara, one of 3 players in this Marlins lineup who was not on the World Series roster last year. Obviously, Alcantara was in the organization, but he wasn't on the team. Jazz Chisholm with a grounder to second. That'll bring up Isaac Stu, who's been money. Over the last couple of games, he grounds it to short. And Carlos Correa, the American League MVP, makes the play as Brady Sr. retires the side. A good start here to the top of the first inning for the Minnesota Twins. As we go bottom first, we take a look at Edward Cabrera, the back-to-back Cy Young. He's going to be making his 5th postseason start. He's won 3 in a row after he laid an egg against Chicago in Game 1 of the NLDS. He has been on fire. A rock star for the Marlins, only having allowed 3 earned runs in his last 3 starts. Kenny Felsch leads things off for the Mets, and it looks like he should go down looking there, but Cabrera doesn't get the call. Interesting. 2-2 now. He strikes out anyway on the slider, and Cabrera gets his revenge, if you will, his first strikeout of the night. That will bring us to Luis Gonzalez, not to be mistaken with the former Diamondback, who, of course, was the World Series hero all the way back in 2001. Hits this one all the way to the warning track at the wall. It's caught by Kevin Alcantara. That ball had some carry, but ultimately it stays in the park. That'll bring up the AL MVP, Carlos Correa, who's taken his game to another level here in the postseason, and he goes down chasing the curveball. 1-2-3 inning for Edward Cabrera. Good start for both of these aces, and let's see if either offense can get something going in the second. Woody Landry leads things off. Woody was unbelievable last year in the World Series, hitting over 500 across those 7 games, and sure enough, he starts this year's World Series with a base hit. Single into left center field, and the Marlins get an inning leadoff runner. Jesus Sanchez, another well-known postseason performer, gets this one to drop in left, as the catch will not be made, and the Marlins open up the inning with 2 early base runners and a great opportunity to get some early damage in. MJ Melendez rips this ball into right center. It goes off the wall, 111 off the bat. Woody scores, Sanchez stays at third. An RBI double for MJ Melendez, and the Marlins lead 1-0. Melendez has played in this park a number of times dating back to his time with the Royals. 2 runners in scoring position. Nobody out for the red-hot Brian De La Cruz, who strikes out on the slider. Big pitch for Brady Sr. He needed that one badly. That'll bring up the rookie, Khalil Watson. Single into center. Another run scores. It's 2-0. Along with Alcantara, who I mentioned earlier was not on the World Series team last year, the other 2 players in our lineup who was not on the World Series roster last year was MJ Melendez and Khalil Watson. Both of them drive-in runs in their first World Series at-bats. Jacob Berry strikes out on the sinker. That'll bring up Kevin Alcantara. Can he follow his newfound teammates, I guess, with drive-in and runs? He does not, as he chases the high fastball, getting aggressive there. The Marlins leave 2 runners on the corners, but a great inning nonetheless. They drive in 2 and lead it 2-0. Byron Buxton goes down looking here in the bottom of the second. Cabrera's 3rd strikeout already. Can he get another one against Alex Kirilloff? The 3-2. Rips this one past the diving glove of Khalil Watson for a single into left. And now the Twins get a runner on board here with 1 away. Brendan Rodgers now. Grounder to short. Chisholm deflects it. Can he get the throw off to first? Not quite. And now the Twins get 2 runners aboard, and they now have an opportunity to really do some damage. That'll bring up Chase Gentry. Full count. Swinging to this. On the sinker. Big pitch by Cabrera. Another big at-bat here. It's Jose Miranda. The 2-2. Ooh, another close call. I feel like Cabrera's gotten shafted by the officiating 2 games in a row. I get that pitch was out of the zone, but you got to throw him a bone at some point. Full count now. Runners go. Grounder to second. Berry fields it cleanly. Throw to first is in time, and Cabrera gets out of the jam as the Twins leave 2 runners aboard, and Miami holds on to their 2-0 lead, and we move into the third. Jazz Chisholm starts things off for the Marlins, and he rips this one past the third baseman and shortstop for a single into left. So Miami opens up the inning with a runner. They've got a nice lead here, but they are clearly not satisfied. That'll bring up Isaac Stu. Full count. Rips it into right center. At the track, at the wall. It goes off the top of the wall for a double. The fact that that right center field wall is so high is going to be such a problem for this Marlins team. I can already sense it. Only a double for Stu. Jazz Chisholm held at third. So now there's 2 runners in scoring position. Nobody out for Woody Landry, who is a full count. And Woody draws a walk. You guys know what that means. The bases are loaded. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez. Was great in the World Series last year. Has been a little inconsistent this year in the playoffs as it's a weak dribbler up the middle. Senior sends it to first, and the Twins get the out, but the Marlins get Jazz Chisholm to score, and Miami leads 3-0. Now there's 2 runners still in scoring position for MJ Melendez with a sharp grounder to third. Play is made. Neither runner can advance, and now the Marlins are going to need a base hit here out of De La Cruz. 2-2. Swing and a miss on the sinker. Miami had the bases loaded with nobody out. Yes, they got 1 run in, but man, it feels like they could have done so much more there as it is a 3-0 ball game. Let's go bottom 3. Brooks Lee, former high draft pick, rips it into the gap in left center. That'll go for a hit. So Minnesota gets a runner to start the inning. Let's see if they can get some runs across against one of the most battle-tested pitchers in the league. Kenny Felsch rips this one into left field. It goes off the wall. Brooks Lee on his high horse. Rounds third, heads home. He'll be safe. An RBI double for Kenny Felsch, and Minnesota's on the board. It's now 3-1 as the Twins look to respond. Felsch now at third. 1 away for Correa. Flies it into center. Alcantara is there to make the play. That should be enough room to score the runner. The throw from the cutoff man Watson is not in time. And so it's a sac fly for Cabrera as Felsch scores, and it's 3-2. That'll bring up Byron Buxton. Rips it into left. De La Cruz cannot make the play, and it rolls to the wall. The Twins continue to get hits as the speedy Buxton makes it to second with a double. Buxton's not as fast as he once was. Injuries and age contributing, but he's still got wheels, looking to get to third, and he's out of there! MJ Melendez guns him down! Part-time ball player, full-time sniper. Twins still add 2, though, and what we thought would be a low-scoring pitching duel between 2 of the best pitchers in their respective leagues has been a lot of offense so far. Miami leads 3-2 going into the 4th. Khalil Watson strikes out, drove in a run during his first at-bat. Kevin Alcantara now 1-2. Swinging a miss on the slider. Good inning there for Brady Sr., who needed a rebound after the past couple of innings kind of went haywire for him. Bottom 4, Kirilloff, sharp grounder third. Nice play by Jacob Berry for out number 1. That'll bring up Brendan Rodgers, the former Rocky. Checks his swing. Umpire says he did go around. And Cabrera's looking like much more in a groove compared to that disastrous third inning. Gentry pops it up. It looks like the Marlins will retire the side as Brian De La Cruz waits under it, and he makes the play. So both pitchers go 1-2-3 here in the 4th, and it remains 3-2 as we go top 5. The Twins, interestingly, will make a pitching change. It's the former Marlin prospect Evan Fitterer, who is pitching in his 2nd career big league game. His first one did not go so well, allowing 4 runs in 2 1/3 innings earlier here in the postseason. Jazz Chisholm draws a walk, and the Marlins start the inning with a base runner. I don't know why these teams are so obsessed with having relievers who have never pitched in a major league game in their life, because Isaac Stu crushes it into left, and it goes foul. Back to my previous point, though. Both the Cubs and the Mets had these young, inexperienced relievers. Now Minnesota, too. I just don't get it. Maybe I shouldn't bite my words, because Stu grounds into a double play after nearly ripping a homer. And so the Twins turn 2, and they're back in business. Woody Landry now up. Full count, 2 gone. And Landry goes down looking. That pitch looked like it was a ball outside, but Fitterer got him, painting the corners against his former organization as we go bottom 5. Brooks Lee strikes out on the fastball. Good pitch there by Cabrera, his 6th K of the day. Back to the top of the order. Kenny Felsch checks his swing. Umpire says he went around. Another 1-2-3 inning for Cabrera, who has not a lot of base runners since that 3rd inning. Let's go to the top of the 6th now. Fitterer remains in for the Twins. He'll face off against MJ Melendez, who's got one of the best eyes in baseball, and he draws a walk. That'll bring up Brian De La Cruz. Count is full with a runner aboard. Fitterer just walked the last batter, can't afford another one, and that's exactly what happens. That pitch wasn't even close to the strike zone. That'll bring up Khalil Watson. Count is again 3-2, and he again draws a walk. Fitterer walks 3 consecutive batters, walking the bases loaded. Minnesota's going to keep him in the game for God knows what reason, as he faces off against pinch hitter James Wood. That was nearly a walk as well. Barely in the strike zone. Would have drove in a run. Instead, Wood's going to drive in possibly 2 or 3 the very next pitch as he gets a changeup right down the middle for a double. 2-run score. How about 3? Everybody scores. You get a run. You get a run. We're like Oprah, handing out guys walking on home plate. 3-run double for the pinch hitter James Wood, and it's now 6-2 as the Twins bring in another former Marlin prospect, Houston Webster, who was great this year as a rookie for Minnesota. 69 innings. Nice. ERA barely above 1, whipping around .8 as he walks Jazz Chisholm. There's another walk. That's been the story of the inning. Isaac Stu now rips this one into left, and it is caught. Great inning, though, for the Marlins. They walk the bases loaded, and believe it or not, they come up clutch. James Wood, when the bases are loaded, seems to play really well. He drives in 3, and so the Marlins add to their lead. It's now 6-2. Bottom 6. 2 away here for Byron Buxton as he checks his swing. This likely will be Cabrera's last batter. He still has not allowed a base run since all the way back in the 3rd inning. 2-2. That pitch is outside. Cabrera doesn't want to give him anything good, especially with Alex Kirilloff, who does really well with runners on base, due up next. Count is now full. The 3-2. And Buxton rips it into left. De La Cruz cannot make the diving play once more. That was just like Buxton's double earlier in the game. It feels like a copy and paste. So Buxton is back at second with his second double of the game. Cabrera's going to stay in. I think this, no matter what, is his last at bat. It's Alex Kirilloff who looks at a low sinker. That's a tough one to lay off. But now the count is 1-2. That pitch also didn't really look like it was in the strike zone. Finally, Cabrera gets a call. Kirilloff fouls off the curveball right, and it remains 1-2. If this is a base hit, Buxton's having no problem scoring. Again, as I mentioned earlier, not as fast as he used to be, but he's still got wheels. Kirilloff down the line and foul. That was a close one. Would have scored Buxton had it barely stayed fair. 1-2 again. Cabrera looks to get him on the inside slider. Doesn't bite. So Kirilloff evens it up at 2-2. Cabrera knows he has to go back to the zone as Kirilloff flies it into right. Sanchez should make the play, and he does. 6 innings, 2 earned runs here in Game 1 of the World Series for Edward Cabrera. Not his best start, but still pretty damn good, especially considering he's gotten more than enough run support from the offense as we move into the 7th. Nino Cabral comes out of the bullpen here for Minnesota. I don't know why they didn't stick with Houston Webster. He only faced off against 2 batters. He's been great all year. I guess they wanted to get the lefty-on-lefty matchups with Woody Landry and Jesus Sanchez up soon, but MJ Melendez is also up soon. So Woody Landry does strike out. How about Jesus Sanchez? Count is full, 3-2, and he strikes out as well. Okay, I guess that's why Minnesota decided to bring Cabral in after all. Although, again, he still has to face off against MJ Melendez, who rakes against left-handed pitching. But I guess not this time. Cabral strikes out the side. Minnesota knows more than me, I guess, and we go bottom 7. Camilo Doval comes into the game for the Marlins. He's been great all postseason, only having allowed 1 run as he seamlessly retires the side, finished off by Jose Miranda, striking out looking. And the Marlins are in striking distance of taking Game 1. They lead 6-2. Let's see if they can finish off the job. Giovanni Moran, another lefty, comes in for Minnesota here in the 8th. The Marlins are going to bring in lefty masher Luis Rengifo off the bench, coming off his great Game 7 against the Mets, and he strikes out. James Wood still in the game as he breaks his bat, grounded to third, and the throw is made. James Wood can only make plays when there's a bunch of guys on base. It's fine. Bottom 8, the former Twin, Johan Duran, comes into the game. The Marlins acquired Duran last year at the trade deadline from Minnesota as he returns here to Target Field for the first time since the trade. He strikes out Brooks Lee on the 101-mile-an-hour fastball. Kenny Felsch goes down on the slider. Twins fans are all too used to this after watching Duran strike guys out seamlessly for 6 years. Now against Gonzalez. Grounded to second. Rengifo makes the play, and the Marlins are 1 inning away from taking Game 1 of the World Series. Let's see if they can get the job done. The Marlins did not win Game 1 of either of the first 2 series this postseason, so if we get the job done, it'd be awfully refreshing. Dennis Santana will come out of the bullpen for Minnesota. They really haven't used him at all here in the postseason. He's only faced off against one batter, which was a strikeout. Now against Alec Boehm, off the bench, draws a walk. These Twin relievers just can't seem to keep it in the strike zone. Jazz Chisholm grounded to first. 3, 6, 1. Double play. Good work there by the Twins infield to quickly turn 2. Isaac Stu now, 2-2. Hits this one sharply into left center. I don't think it's got enough carry, and it ultimately will be caught. So the Twins have a lot of work to do. Down by 4 going into the bottom of the 9th inning. The Marlins are not going to bring in Emmanuel Clase. They still don't fully trust him. And it'll be Joe Shearer who comes in the game instead. 4 postseason innings, 0 earned runs. He's been phenomenal as he strikes out Correa. There's 1. Now it's down to the final strike. Alex Kirilloff, 1-2. And this one's grounded to second. Rengifo fields it cleanly. Makes the play, and the Marlins win Game 1 of the 2028 World Series as they defeat the Twins 6-2 with a strong start by Edward Cabrera. A big couple of innings early in this game, and a 3-run double off the bench by James Wood to essentially clinch the game for the Marlins. Really strong win here. The offense had their good moments and bad moments, but what I will say, the offense was clutch. When we got guys on, we were money. Only 7 hits, but we got 7 walks. Great plate discipline today. Cabrera was good, and the bullpen was nails. 0 base runners allowed by our relievers today. Minnesota's offense just didn't get enough going. They did okay against Cabrera. Their pitching was okay. The bullpen, though, threw way too many walks, and if not for that, James Wood does not get that 3-run double. And who knows, maybe the complexion of the game ends up all different. So that'll bring us into Game 2 now. If the Marlins can win this game, taking a 2-0 lead on the road would be gigantic. Now, as we know, it wouldn't be the end-all be-all. Minnesota trailed 2-0 after losing 2 games at home against Cleveland, and they went back to win the next 4 in the ALCS. And that's obviously given that if the Marlins even win this game. So let's see if Miami can get the job done. It'll be Casey Mize on the mound. He's pitched a lot of games here in Minnesota, having played in the AL Central for a while with the Detroit Tigers. The Twins are going to go with former top draft pick Ray Castro, who I believe was in the first draft of this series. Minnesota picked him with their first-round selection, and he's developed into a really good young arm. Let's see which side can get the job done here in Game 2 of the 2028 World Series. Can the Marlins take a 2-0 lead and be in the power position returning home, or can the Twins take one here at home, where they've really struggled throughout the postseason, and tie the series back at 1 going into Miami? Let's take a look at both lineups, 1-9, regular starters for the most part across the board. And here's Ray Castro, who has started in 2 postseason games, and he's been really solid, only having allowed 3 runs in 12 postseason innings with a record of 1-1 and a whip barely above 1. Just 9 hits and 4 walks allowed in those 12 innings with 11 Ks. Kevin Alcantara struggled in Game 1, his first career World Series game, but he starts Game 2 off with a bang. Singles into right field, and the Marlins open up the game with a base runner. Good start. Miami hadn't gotten a hit since the James Wood double back in the last game. And now they get another one here. Isaac Stu single into center. Alcantara thinks about going 3. Wisely heads back to second. And so the Marlins get 2 early runners and a great opportunity to strike early. Woody Landry, 2-2. Strikes out on the fastball. Big pitch by Ray Castro for the second out. And now that'll bring up Jesus Sanchez for a huge at-bat. These are the types of moments where he really thrives in throughout his career. But it's a weak grounder to second, flips it over to short, and Jesus Sanchez's postseason inconsistencies continue. Minnesota allows 2, but neither runner is able to score. As we go to the bottom of the first, take a look at Casey Mize, of course, in his first season with the Marlins after spending around a decade in the Tigers organization. In 3 postseason starts, he's 1-0. He's thrown 15 innings, 3.6 ERA, 1.2 whip. 18 strikeouts in 15 innings is the big one. He's not a strikeout guy, but he's been able to get a lot of swing and miss stuff. Case in point, against Kenny Felsch, who strikes out. 2 gone and a full count now for the shortstop, Carlos Correa. Rips it into left center. This one is gone into the Marlins bullpen. And we've got our first home run in the World Series. A solo shot here in the bottom of the first of Game 2 by who else than Carlos Correa. The former number 1 overall draft pick gets a homer off of another former number 1 overall pick here in the World Series. The 4th postseason home run for number 4. And Minnesota leads it 1-0, and the hits are going to keep on coming. It's a single into center for Buxton. One of the few guys who really hit the ball well in Game 1, which might be a little bit of a surprise for the Twins because Buxton's been really inconsistent throughout the postseason. Kirilloff into right. One hops off the wall. Buxton was already going for second as the pitch was thrown, so he'll make it home easily. An RBI double for Alex Kirilloff, and the Twins lead it 2-0. That'll bring up Brendan Rodgers. Another hit. Singles into center. Kirilloff looks to score. The throw to the plate from Alcantara is a bullet! He got him! What a throw by Kevin Alcantara. All of these Marlins outfielders have absolute cannons. Now the Twins still get 2, and it's a bad inning for the Marlins no matter how you look at it. But that is an awesome play in center field by Alcantara to throw out the runner and hopefully give the Marlins some momentum after allowing 2. Melendez leads off the second. He had the big tag on Kirilloff. Got to give him credit as well as he draws a walk. That'll bring up Brian De La Cruz. No hits in Game 1 of the World Series for De La Cruz, but he did get on base with one of the walks back in the 6th inning as he strikes out on the 94-mile-an-hour fastball, Castro's second K of the day. Now against Rengifo. Hits it into left. That'll go for a single. And the Marlins get another runner aboard. 2 on, 2 away. Big opportunity to quickly get back in the game as it's Kevin Alcantara. He had a hit in his last at-bat, the 1-1. Grounder to first. Going to be a tough play. And the Twins will make it as Castro beats out Alcantara to the base. The Marlins leave 2 runners aboard, and Minnesota holds on to their 2-0 lead as they look to possibly add some more runs here in the bottom of the second. The young switch-hitting catcher out of the Great Britain, Chase Gentry, leads off the inning, and this ball goes off the wall in right center. Another extra base hit for the Twins. It's a double of Minnesota's 7 batters. They've got 5 hits. 5 hits in a row, to be specific. Now Brooks Lee is up with the runner on third. That pitch looked like a strike. It was in the zone. Or at least it hit the corner of the zone. Mize does not get the call. Doesn't matter as he strikes out Brooks Lee on the very next pitch. And funny enough, that pitch was outside. Not even in the strike zone. Kenny Felsch now back to the top of the order. 1-2. Rips a slider into right center. And that ball is gone. Minnesota doubles their lead. It's 4-0. Kenny Felsch is a big-time power hitter. At just 21 years old, he's got 3 seasons with over 20 home runs, including this year, after being traded away at the deadline from Milwaukee to Minnesota. He was a great young hitter for the Brewers. I don't know why they traded him. Minnesota certainly happy as he rips a homer here in the World Series. Luckily, the next batter, Luis Gonzalez, strikes out, but another rough inning for Casey Mize. He's allowed a pair of long balls so far from Correa and Felsch, and the Marlins dig themselves an early hole. It's already 4-0. Jazz Chisholm goes down looking. Isaac Stu goes down swinging. While Casey Mize is really struggling, Ray Castro, the young righty, is pitching really, really well. Can he strike out the side against Woody Landry? 2-2. Got him on the fastball. Another strong inning for Ray Castro, who's allowed a couple of base runners. He's allowed a couple of hits, but overall he's looking really good. This inning in particular, striking out the side, making it look easy. Casey Mize has got to be on a short leash. He has gotten rocked so far, and things are not going to start any better here in the bottom of the third. That's going to be a double for Correa. Didn't hit it all that hard off the bat, only 88 miles an hour. The ball just stopped in left field. Jesus Sanchez has to completely reroute the angle he was taking, and now Minnesota gets a runner in scoring position. Byron Buxton goes down on the fastball. Good pitch by Mize. Now Kirilloff, 2-2, strikes out on the curveball. Let's see if Mize can finally get out of the inning, not allowing any runs. It's Brendan Rodgers who hits it sharply into center. Alcantara makes the play. Refreshing to see a scoreless inning from Minnesota. Both of the home runs they had were with 2 outs. All of the runs they've gotten off of Mize today have been with 2 outs. But this time, Casey Mize is able to make a play, and we go top 4. Jesus Sanchez up the middle for a base hit into center. The Marlins open up the inning with a runner on base and hopefully an opportunity to cut into this lead a little bit. This is a great opportunity to get some runs on the board, and as a wise man once said, there's never a better time than the present. MJ Melendez, coming off a strong Game 1, gets on base for a second time today as he rips this one into the gap. Sanchez is going to hold up at third, but now the Marlins have a real opportunity with 2 runners in scoring position and nobody out. At the bare minimum, you've got to get 1, but ideally, both of these guys need to score. Big at bat for De La Cruz. Is off to a quiet start here in the World Series. Full count, and he hits this one to first. Nice diving grab, but run scores. And the other runner advances, so it's not that bad of an at-bat. Still a really nice play, though, at first by Alex Kirilloff. That'll bring up Luis Rengifo. He pops it up. That's not going to be enough room to get the runner from third across with a sacrifice. So now the Marlins are going to need a base hit in order to get him in. A giant at-bat here for Khalil Watson, who drove in a run back in Game 1. And Watson skies this one into center. That one should be caught by Buxton, and it will. So the Marlins get 1. At least they're on the board. I feel like they could have done more there, having the runner on third with only 1 away and unable to drive him in. Minnesota holds on to their lead 4-1 as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Casey Mize is going to stay in the game, coming off a strong inning, but his leash is still short as he strikes out Chase Gentry on the splitter. Mize's 6th K of the day. Jose Miranda now rips it into center. Another base hit. The Twins with 8 base knocks through 3+ innings. That's more than either team had in Game 1. And with that, the Marlins are going to take Casey Mize out of the game. In his first career World Series start, he really was not good. 3 1/3 innings, allowing 4 runs, 8 hits. He just wasn't very good today. He was not sharp. He was not on his stuff. And now the Marlins are going to need their bullpen to keep them in the game. Joe Shearer, who finished Game 1, will come out of the bullpen here, and the Marlins are hoping that they can get around 2 or so innings out of him as he faces off against Brooks Lee with 1 away. Goes down looking on the slider. Nice pitch by Shearer, who still is not allowed to run in the postseason, and he hasn't allowed many base runners either. Kenny Felsch, who had the homer in his last at-bat, pops this one into left, and Sanchez will make the grab. So the Marlins pitching gets another scoreless inning, even with the change. And so it remains 4-1 as we go into the top of the 5th. Another opportunity for the Marlins to look to cut into this lead. Top of the order due up. That starts with Kevin Alcantara looking for his 2nd hit of the game. And he'll get it! Single into right center field, and the Marlins open up the inning with another base runner. And interestingly, this is where Minnesota is going to take Castro out of the game. I feel like it's a little bit early. I get the pitching count's a little bit high. It's gone into the 80s. But overall, he's pitched really well. He'll be replaced by Evan Fitterer, who has pitched in 2 big league games now, including Game 1 of the World Series. Common denominator, he was not good in either of them. The Twins have a loaded bullpen. I will never understand the thought process with this, as Fitterer faces off against Woody Landry, who crushes it into right field. Flips the bat. That one's gone. And the Marlins bring it within 1. Woody with his 5th home run of the postseason that leads all players on the team. And now it's 4-3. All of a sudden, the Marlins are back into the game. A very, very questionable pitching change from Minnesota leads to a giant momentum boost for the Marlins. Sanchez, grounder to short. Correa makes the play, but not before the Marlins get two with a home run by Woody Landry off of Evan Fitterer. And we go to the bottom of the fifth. Luis Gonzalez starts the inning with a walk. Carlos Correa goes down looking. He was 2 for 2 off of Mize as well. Buxton now. He's got 3 hits so far in the World Series with a grounder to first. 3, 6, 1. It's a double play. The Marlins turn 2, and after a rough start, man, the Fish are right back in it, only trailing by 1, and they've got all the momentum on their side. Let's keep it rolling, shall we? It's Melendez in the left center. That one's gone into the second deck. We're tied at 4. Melendez with his second home run of the postseason. MJ Melendez was a net negative offensively in the NLCS against the Mets, but he has turned it up here in the World Series. He looks like he is on fire. And now he goes yard to tie the game up at 4. De La Cruz now rips this one to short. Correa is able to deflect it, but not before De La Cruz makes it to first safely with an infield single, and now the potential leading run is on base with nobody out. Big opportunity here for Luis Rengifo. 2-2 pitch, and he pops this one up into center. Is it going to drop? It will. Buxton can't make the play. Now there's 2 runners on with nobody away. The momentum has flipped like a light switch, and now the Marlins have a golden opportunity to get some more runs. It's Alcantara with 1 away. Grounder to short. Are you kidding? 6-4-3 inning-ending double play. Not a bad inning. The Marlins tie the game with a homer by Melendez. But man, what an opportunity. They had to do some more damage. Bottom 6. Chase Gentry's up. He finds himself behind in the count 1-2. Hits it sharply to second. Good play by Khalil Watson. And he makes the throw. 6 innings down. Likely 3 to go. It's anybody's ball game. Tied at 4 here in Game 2 of the World Series. As we move into the 7th, the lefty Nino Cabral comes in for Minnesota. He struck out the side in his 1 inning last game after only striking out 2 batters in 5 1/3 postseason innings previously. He'll face off against Isaac Stu here with 1 away. Stu hitting from the right side of the plate. Grounds it to short. Correa, what a play! Throw to first is in time. Obviously, the offense with Carlos Correa is great, but his defense at short is also unbelievable. That'll bring up Woody Landry, who had a big home run in his last at bat. He goes down looking. Another strikeout for Cabral, who seemingly can only strike out players on the Marlins. And we go bottom 7. Camilo Duvall comes in for Miami. He's only allowed 1 run in around 10 postseason innings. He has been a rock star. Let's see if he can keep it going. Not a great start. Jose Miranda singles into center, and the Twins open up the inning with a runner of their own. Minnesota's offense has been ice cold since Casey Mize was taken out of the game. That's their first hit since Mize was removed, as Brooks Lee strikes out, checks his swing on the cutter. 2 gone now for Gonzalez. Pops it up into center. Alcantara is under it. He should make the play, and he does. The inning starts a little scary, but Camilo Duvall gets through it. No score change here after 7, as we remain tied at 4 going into the 8th. Minnesota will bring in Giovanni Moran. Once again, he's only allowed 2 runs in 7 postseason innings. The big thing with Moran's game is that he does not allow the long ball. The Marlins have gotten their last 3 runs off of a pair of homers, and Minnesota knows they need to keep the ball in the park. Jesus Sanchez strikes out. Little lefty-on-lefty crime there. But now he has to face off against Melendez. He's reached base all 3 times today, including a dinger, but he strikes out on the slider. I guess Melendez now all of a sudden can only hit righties here in the World Series. What a plot twist. De La Cruz grounded to second. Another unbelievable defensive play, this time by Brendan Rodgers. And so again, it remains tied at 4, and we go bottom 8. Phil Bickford comes into the game. Not Duran or Emmanuel Clase. Interesting decision here by the Marlins. They trust their guy, and it backfires. Carlos Correa! Second time today, Minnesota leads at 5-4. Correa with his 5th home run of the postseason. And again, who else would it be? It's the American League MVP who comes up big in the World Series for the Twins. I don't think it's an entirely awful decision to bring Bickford in the game. I mean, he's been so good in the regular season, only having allowed 5 runs in the regular season all year. But man, that hurts. Let's see if Bickford can rebound as he strikes out Buxton on the 2-seamer. Now he will face off against Alex Kirilloff. Rips it down the line and fair. A little Oppo-Popo. As it rolls nearing the warning track, Sanchez gets to it quickly, cuts it off. And Kirilloff is only able to get a single. But still, nonetheless, another base runner here for Minnesota. Now Brendan Rodgers goes down looking on the slider. Nice pitch. That one high and away, and it curves in. Gentry now strikes out. So Bickford K's 3, but more importantly, allows a homer to Carlos Correa. It's a 5-4 game, and now Minnesota can bring in their closer. It's time for the Mountain, Felix Bautista. If you want to make it to the top, you got to climb up the mountain. And that's what the Marlins are going to be daunted to do here. Bautista has not allowed a run all October as he gets Rengifo to go down looking on the 101-mile-an-hour fastball. Watson, swing and miss. That one comes in a little bit slower, only at 99. Back to the top of the order. Kevin Alcantara, the last hope here for the Marlins here in Game 2 as he looks at the high fastball. That one clocks in at 100. Alcantara is ahead 2-1. All he's got to do is get on base to keep the game alive and really open things up. As Alcantara hits this one solidly into the gap, and it is caught, and that'll do it. Minnesota wins Game 2 by the score of 5-4, and so both teams trade off wins here in Games 1 and 2. Overall, certainly not an unsuccessful trip here to Minnesota as we take a game returning to Miami for the next 3. But man, we had an opportunity here in Game 2. After starting down 4-0, we came all the way back. We tied it at 4 with a couple big homers by Landry and Melendez, really overcoming a rough start from Casey Mize. But ultimately, it's not enough. The homer by Correa in the 8th, his second of the game, is ultimately what does it. We had some guys really play well. As I mentioned, Landry, Melendez, Alcantara was good. Only 1 walk, though, coming off a game where we had 7. Plate discipline was not as good, and the Twins also threw more strikes to begin with. But the offense got hits. They weren't as clutch in Game 1, but we still had some big hits here and there, and the pitching really wasn't that bad. Casey Mize was a train wreck, but the bullpen was really good, only allowing 3 hits, but that included the homer by Correa in the 8th inning to finish things off. Carlos Correa had 3 hits, including obviously the 2 homers. Kirilloff with multiple base hits, including another run driven in. Kenny Felsch had the big homer in the 2nd inning. Minnesota's offense was really good early. They struggled against the bullpen, but all they needed was 1 big swing late, and they got it from Correa. Ray Castro was good. Evan Fitterer was not, but the rest of the bullpen was shut down. The Marlins did not get a base runner over the final 3 innings of the game, facing off against those last 3 relievers. And with that, the series is tied at 1, and we return home for Games 3 and 4 in the next episode. Can either team really look to take a big, commanding 3-1 lead, or will the series be tied at 2? It's a best of 5 now, and we've got home field. Let's see if we can capitalize. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Peace out.